Hey everyone, it's NerdPhil, here with your weekly NerdPhil. And today we're talking about 2019's most anticipated game, at least early on, Kingdom Hearts 3. Now Kingdom Hearts has arrived since 2002, so we've been waiting forever for this conclusion. We are ready to play, we are ready to go. Now, the time gap between 1 and 3 were huge because, well, there was 4 compilations including these games, like this one, and this one, and this one, and this one, and Now what makes Kingdom Hearts unique? Well, it's a Disney game that's pretty violent if you think about it. I mean, you're basically a kid with a sword and whacking the crap out of Disney villains and monsters. And basically, Disney has given all their rights for Square Enix to use, which they've never done with an outside company. So it's pretty amazing that they're still in contract with Square Enix saying, hey, make use of our characters and do whatever the heck you want. So right now I'm going to talk about the top 10 things that I really hope Kingdom Hearts 3 doesn't do, which sounds crazy. But there are, I think, a couple of things that could really ruin this game. Now I know the entire spoilers were released 6 months ago by some crappy headpants. But if you're a diehard fan like I am, and I imagine most of you are if you're watching this video, you probably have steered clear from the spoilers. Anyways, spoilers ahead, possibly. Let's get started. Number 10, Star Wars. Look, the Star Wars universe is amazing. Well, most of it. There have been some slight hiccups recently. But a sci-fi world in Kingdom Hearts does sound amazing. And the concept of a Keyblade lightsaber thing, that sounds really awesome. But there's a couple problems with that. Number 1, we've already kind of got a sci-fi futuristic world with Tron. I mean, Sora and Riku have visited the Tron world many times. Also, the theme of Star Wars doesn't quite fit the whole Disney-esque theme. I know that Disney acquired Star Wars and all its rights, but there's a different theme to it and a different feel. Also, the Force would be extremely overpowered in the Kingdom Hearts universe. I mean, look at Darth Vader. He can literally just use the Force choke on anybody and get away with it, like he did in Rogue One.
Be careful not to choke on your aspirations, Director.
I mean, if you think about it, Sora is immortal with a really powerful weapon. Vader can just walk up to him and just get the life out of him. There we go. All said and done. Also, if you really think about it, the villains don't quite fit the theme of Kingdom Hearts. If you look at the past villains in Kingdom Hearts, the Disney villains that is, they're trying to steal the light and use it for their own gain. But Vader, Palpatine, even Kylo Ren, they don't want to use the light. They want to completely eradicate and destroy it from the universe. So I think that's a no-go on Star Wars for me, at least. Number 9, adding the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now don't get me wrong, I think the MCU is amazing. Like, it's amazing how they can just weave all these individual stories into one cinematic story. But that might be the problem of adding it into Kingdom Hearts. It's too big and it's too expansive. What heroes would we use? What location? What would be the villain that we would use out of the whole MCU? It's just too big. So nothing and nowhere would work. And let's also face it, the MCU suffers from what we call the bad MCU villains. And it's kind of true. Most of the Marvel villains don't have that much of a memorable moment or really matter to the fans. There's only been 3 really good villains so far. There's Loki, Killmonger, and Thanos. And let's face it, Loki, he's only quote-unquote a good villain because he's just got a huge fan following. But a Vibranium Keyblade, it does sound pretty cool. But we're gonna have to pass on this one. Number 8, the Goofy Creatures. Okay, listen. I really love Dream Drop Distance, and it was a game that was necessary. It's literally the prequel before Kingdom Hearts 3. It's a necessary story, so if you haven't played it, I really recommend it. Now, the biggest problem for me was the monsters, aka the nightmares. I just wasn't feeling it. Like, here are some pictures. Like, really? A giant teddy bear? Not feeling it, guys. Just making everything darker and, black does not make it scary. I feel like the design team might have gone a little too pizzazz with this design. I don't know. I mean, let's look at the nobodies. They're simple, they're sleek, and they're literally all in white. Like, they're not anywhere near the color black. And they were frightening to face against because their combat prowess was frightening. I mean, anyone hate facing this guy? Stupid berserker. Hate you. But in Kingdom Hearts 3, we're returning back to the original world. So it looks like they're bringing back the Heartless and the Nobodies. So hopefully they'll keep it just the way it's supposed to be. Simple and sleek and just as frightening. Number 7. Goofy Keyblade designs. Now this idea is the same concept as the Goofy Monsters point I made earlier. Cool, sleek, and simple gets the job done. Look, I'll name you 3 Keyblades and I bet you'll know exactly what it looks like, or it's probably in your favorite Keyblade list. The original Kingdom Key, Oblivion, and Oathkeeper. You got that memorized? Now, Kingdom Hearts over the years has been maybe too creative with their Keyblade designs. Look, I get they're trying to fit the whole theme of the world into the Keyblade, but there is such a thing as too much pizzazz, and I feel like that's where they went. Especially with Dream Job Distance. I hate to rail on it, even though I really love the game. But it's got to be done. Now, they've released some of the Keyblades for Kingdom Hearts 3, shown here. And I'm afraid they're already going down that hole. Look, I'm not the biggest fan of all these designs, but I feel like out of all of these, the Frozen one gets the job done. Right? It's simple, it's pretty sleek, and it's a design I could get behind. So, they haven't released all the Keyblades, so maybe there's still hope. Number 6. Random anti-form triggers. Okay guys, let me first start off saying that anti-form looks awesome. Okay, like I know I just said that making something darker doesn't make it cooler, but anti-form definitely does make Sora look a lot cooler, and his abilities go insane. It's awesome. But we hate the random mechanic. I mean, Super Smash Brawl. You know why it gets a lot of hate, right? Your character randomly trips all of a sudden. Whoa, I'm attacking! And your character trips, and then you probably ran into a Falcon Punch and died. Look, we hate random triggers. That kills us, okay? It's not fun. It's great if anti-form's in, just the middle of a battlefield with, just the monsters in just a space in the world, and you can move on to the next area and anti-form trigger is gone. But in a boss fight, it's awful. You can't heal in anti-form. You can't even pick up health orbs if the boss dropped health orbs for whatever reason. It's awful, and you're probably going to die to the boss, and you got to start all over. Look, if they make anti-form a form you can pick, I'm all for that. Probably doesn't make that much sense, to be quite honest, because, Sora's the hero of the light and all that, and he's probably gotten rid of the whole sleeping darkness thing from Dream Drop Distance. But, look, I just really hate the random triggers, and for some reason, I've always gotten it during a boss, so I'm okay with just doing away with it at this point. Number 5, DLCs. Now, DLCs are a bit of a controversy in the game universe itself. Like, why should you have to pay for extra content? Like, it should really already be there. Now, Kingdom Hearts has announced that the ending and the secret ending will be released around January 30th and the 31st. Now, I'm totally okay with that because, as far as I can tell, they're not making you pay for those. It's part of the game. And the spoiler guy he couldn't release that information. So I guess that's a good thing, especially for those who were tempted to read that. I really hope you didn't, by the way. Now, I'm really afraid that they're going to go down the DLC rabbit hole. They're probably going to do a thing where you can play as a Riku side story quest, or a Kyrie side story, or a Lee/Axel side story, or Roxas, or Aqua, or all these characters, and I'm not all for that. Really, those are all important characters, so they should already be part of the game that you can play as. So, please don't make a DLC. Number 4, Kyrie being weak. Now listen, Kyrie was weak for basically all of Kingdom Hearts from what we could tell. I mean, she was a Princess of Hearts, but apparently didn't know it. which kind of sucks because that led her to being kidnapped. And Kingdom Hearts 2, she's more or less kidnapped again. And more or less, those situations make sense. She doesn't know that she can wield the power of the Keyblade, and she has no training or experience whatsoever, whether she was on the good side or the bad side. So it makes sense that she's more or less the helpless princess. But now that we're finally on the conclusion of Kingdom Hearts 3, there's absolutely no reason for her to be weak anymore. I mean, in Dream Drop Distance, it's implied that she was training with Axel/Lee, whatever you want to call him. I prefer Axel. And in the newest trailer released, we know that she is still training with Axel. Let's look at the clip right here and what she says.
You and me in the ring. You ready? Don't hold back, Lee. Promise?
Okay, so she's asking Axel to not hold back and to not hold any punches while they're in the ring. Training heavily implied. So now that she's going through this training, there's no reason why she should be this helpless victim. And she's got the power of the Keyblade. Keyblades are awesome. Really, really hope she's not playing the victim card again. Because, again, there's no reason to. I mean, there's another scene where she's literally standing side by side with Sora and the gang. And looks like she's got good form when she makes the swing. Okay, that swing looked pretty good. Good posture and killed a basic Heartless in one strike. It is a basic Heartless, but one strike's pretty good in my book. Now, training with Lee is super important because Lee/Axel is a skilled fighter. I mean, he was one of the organization members and he wields fire like it's nobody's business. And you also have to remember that Axel is not the patient type. He's trying to save Roxas and Xion. Looks like he remembers, at least implied in the trailers. So he wouldn't be training with Kyrie unless he felt that it was necessary. And it sounds like Kyrie's giving him a good run for his money. So really hope that they do really good work with her in this one. And I'm excited to see what her fighting style will be. We've never seen it before. Number 3, unresolved love story. Look, I'll say it. We want them to fall in love. Fall in love. Fall in love. Sora and Kyrie, it's been implied since Kingdom Hearts 1 with this stupid picture at the end of the cave. I always thought they were punching each other when I was first playing the game, so I was really confused, but now I realize it's the Palpu fruit that they're sharing, and we all know what that means, right? You know, together forever and all that stuff. And of course, there's this raunchy scene of them hugging. It's not so raunchy. Look, they don't need to say I love you. They don't need to kiss. They don't need to do any of that stuff. Look, I'll take holding hands. But come on, they've been in love forever. So can we please just show it? I know I just said I hate DLCs, but heck, I would buy a DLC at this point. Number 2, limited Riku play. I'll say it. Riku's my favorite character. Okay, that's probably not news, and Riku's probably a lot of people's favorite characters. But in my book, he has a more interesting story. Right? Sora is a protagonist who's weak, and he gets better to become a stronger hero. But that's your common hero. In my book, Riku's way more interesting. He's a guy who fell into the darkness, had to get saved from the darkness, and is now in the light, and he's still struggling with the darkness to this day. Like, he's still way more of an interesting character in my book. And we've gotten to see him evolve in getting to play him in his fighting style over the years, but they haven't quite perfected it yet. Chain of Memories. You finally got to play as him, but really you could be as overpowered as you want. You just put all your points into dark form and then just spam all his abilities, and you couldn't even edit his deck or work hard to get the villain cards. Like, it was all done for you. It was cool. It was a good first test run, but wasn't quite there yet. Kingdom Hearts 2. You got to play him for like, what, 5 seconds? Thanks. And it was the part where you're trying to save Sora in the Xemnas boss fight. But let's be real, you didn't press the X button. You just spammed Darkfire Raga to get the clone Xemnas away, and then you save Sora. Thanks. Now, Dream Drop Distance. That's the closest we got to a unique Riku play. You could absorb your little Dream Eaters and go into like super crazy mode and do crazy attacks. But the skill sets you could basically do set for set with Sora's. So you could kind of cheat if you didn't like Riku's playstyle, which I don't know why you wouldn't, to be quite honest. So it was the closest, but it wasn't quite there yet. Now in the Kingdom Hearts 3 trailer, we get to see a little bit of Riku's fighting style. Now I'm really hoping that you get a limited play. I'm not really asking for a whole switcheroo thing like they did in Dream Drop Distance where it's like an entire story. I know Sora's the main story and I know he has to resolve a lot of things and save a lot of people and Riku's not entirely involved in that. I get it, but please give us a perfected Riku gameplay. And again, I know I said I wouldn't buy DLCs, but I'd buy one for Riku. Number 1, time travel. Look, no matter what context, what world, what universe, what quote-unquote rules time travel has, it's always stupidly confusing. If you've ever read, watched anything related to The Flash from the DC universe, you know it's really confusing. I'll let Professor Zoom do all the explaining from the CW show.
Time travel, Barry. So very confusing. I always seem to be saying that to you, don't I?
Get it? It's really confusing. And okay, maybe the Kingdom Hearts time travel isn't too confusing, right? I mean, so the present Xehanorts goes back to meet his younger self and basically tells his younger self what he has to do so that his future is set. And so the younger self can't do anything because his future's already set, so he has to abide by those rules. So everything's already in place except the future is the present and... Okay, you kind of get it, right? More or less, the rules of time travel has been laid out in Kingdom Hearts. But I really hope they keep it at that. Just leave it alone. Okay, we got a younger version of the present villain, and the younger self can't do anything. I think that's more or less the rules. So I'm okay with that. As long as we keep it like that, I think we're in the solid. So these are just my top 10 thoughts as to what could lessen the experience of Kingdom Hearts. Let's be real, it's gonna be a good game. No matter what. I hope. No, I know. It's gonna be a good game, guys. But I'd love to hear your thoughts. What do you agree with me on? What do you disagree with me on? There's something new? What did I bring to the table? Post it on the comments. So for my next video, I'm thinking about teaching you how to draft for Ravnica Allegiance and Magic the Gathering. I'm going to the pre-release, so I'm super excited to play. But drafting is very different from pre-release, but I'll be showing you how to weave the ropes on that one. I'm also thinking about doing the top 10 reasons why I think Assassin's Creed Odyssey is the best one out of the series. I'll see you next week for your weekly NerdPhil.